Hi, I'm Eric Siegel, and this is episode 54 of Eric's Trains. Okay, I am in a hotel room in York, Pennsylvania, and so I'm sure most of you know exactly what that means. Of course, it means that I'm attending the Fall York Train Show. Now, for those of you who may be new to the hobby, you may be wondering what is York? Well, it is a gigantic train show that is held twice a year up here in York, once in the spring and once in the fall. The technical name for the show is the Eastern Division TCA York Train Meet. The TCA is the Train Collectors Association, and if you're a member, as I am, you're allowed to attend the show and experience everything it has to offer, and it is amazing. This is the first year that I've come up here. I've been meaning to come up here for several years now, but I've never been able to find the time. But this year, I was fortunate enough to be able to schedule it in, and I gotta say, it is awesome. When I first got there, I was quite honestly a bit overwhelmed because the show is held at the York Fairgrounds, and so on the fairgrounds there are 6 or 7 or maybe more warehouse-sized buildings that are full of trains. Some of those buildings have private people who are selling used and new trains. Some of those buildings have layouts that they've built to run trains, and then some of those buildings have dealers that are showing off their products. Now, I spent most of my time in the Orange Hall, which is where the dealers, the big dealers, hang out. So Lionel has a booth there, MTH has a booth, there's an Atlas booth, and then there's booths for all of the other cottage industries that make all sorts of stuff for the hobby, and also all sorts of train stores from around the country have set up booths to sell their stuff. So it's really, really amazing. So I got to meet a lot of great people. I met the guys from Atlas at their booth. I met the guys from Lionel at the Lionel booth, and they were unveiling the new Vision Line GG1. That was awesome. I met and talked to Mike Wolf at the MTH booth. That was great. I met the guys from Ross Custom Switches. I met all the magazine guys, the guys from OGR and CTT. And then I got to meet a lot of the guys who I've bought stuff from over the years, but who I've never met face to face. So I got to meet the guy from Millhouse River Studios, Alan Zamorsky, who built my turntable. I got to meet the guys from Glenn Snyder Shelving, who make that great the great shelving that's all around my layout. And I got to meet Stu Graunik from Model Building Services. He is currently building a CSX style control tower for the middle of my layout. It's going to look great. I'll show you that in a couple of weeks when he's done with it. And I got to meet a lot of other great people, and the best part was I got to meet a lot of fans of the videos. I had lots of people coming up to me thanking me for the videos, so that was very, very flattering. So it was a whole lot of fun. I mean, I felt like I was 10 years old or something in there. It was an amazing experience. So what I'm going to do today is show you what I picked up at the York Train Meet, because I bought quite a bit of stuff. The first day I waited it out for a while. I didn't want to buy anything too fast. So after about 4 or 5 hours of milling around, I finally bought a couple things. And then today, the second day, I bought more stuff. So I've got a pretty good pile going. Now, it's a good thing I'm not flying home, because it would be a nightmare to get this all on a plane. I'm driving home, so there really was no practical limitation on how much I could buy. It was only limited by my budget. And so I'm pretty happy with what I picked up. So let's take a look. Okay, so here's the first thing I want to show you. And to some of you, this may look very, very strange. So let me take a few minutes and explain what this is all about. This is a Lionel corporate Tinplate O-gauge girls train set that was made around 2012 or so. Now, for the uninitiated, let me explain what I just said. It's Tinplate. What is Tinplate? Tinplate trains are the type of trains that Lionel made prior to World War II. They're also called pre-war trains. And so basically anything that Lionel made between around 1900 and right around 1942 is pre-war, and most of that is tinplate like you see here. Now, tinplate trains, unlike post-war trains and modern trains, are not made from die-cast metal and plastic. They're made from sheet metal, brass, and nickel. So they're very different from modern trains. Very cool. Now, they're not meant to look realistic. So get it out of your head that these don't look realistic. That's not the goal. They're supposed to look like beautiful caricatures of real trains. They were originally inspired by Italian toy trains, and then Lionel started making them here in America. And they're, like I said, they're kind of cartoonish. They're not really meant to be that realistic. They're just sort of like I said, caricatures of real trains. And they're sort of like works of art, in my opinion. They're so beautiful. Now, tinplate trains came in two sizes. They came in the smaller size, which was O gauge, which was actually the cheaper of the two sizes. And then they came in standard gauge, which was much larger. Now, I've got quite a few pieces of standard gauge in my collection now, but I don't have a lot of O gauge, and so I bought this as part of an effort to try to rectify that situation and get more O gauge tinplate in my collection, because among other things, I can run this on my layout because it's the same gauge as my layout. So even though it may not look appropriate on my layout, I can still run it just for fun. Now, I call these Lionel corporate tinplate trains, but they're not actually made by Lionel. They're made by MTH. MTH has been making tinplate reproductions since the 1980s, but until a few years ago, they could not put the Lionel name on those reproductions. They all said MTH on them. They were called MTH Tinplate Traditions. But a few years ago, they reached a licensing agreement with Lionel that allows them to now package them and label them as Lionel tinplate trains. And that was a great thing because now they look so beautiful with the Lionel logo and the Lionel box and so forth. Now, this set is a bit of an oddity because most tinplate reproductions represent tinplate trains that were actually made in the pre-war period. But the girls' train was never made in the pre-war period. MTH took a little bit of license here. The original girls' train was made out of plastic and die-cast metal and was made in 1957. For some reason, the execs at Lionel got it in their heads that a pretty pastel-colored train set would appeal to girls and draw girls into the hobby. Of course, it didn't work. Girls hated the train set. They didn't want it. And so it was a complete failure. And in fact, a lot of dealers had to paint the sets black just to make them appeal to boys and get them out of the store. So, like I said, it was a total failure, but as so often happens, it was a failure and subsequently became very collectible because it was very rare and obscure. And so nowadays, the original girls sets are very hard to find and they're very much sought after by serious collectors. And so it's pretty cool that MTH got the idea to take that girls set idea and make it into a tinplate train. And so that's what we've got here. And it's absolutely gorgeous. The engine is this really cool pink. And it's beautiful. It's even got that pre-war tag on the bottom that says Lionel O-Gauge Motor, the Lionel Corporation, New York. It's got Protosound 3 on the inside, but on the outside it's all pre-war. And it's beautiful. All that shiny, baked-on enamel, the nickel trim. Absolutely beautiful. And then the tender has that great Lionel logo on it. There's the speaker for the sound system. Then there's this beautiful lavender Lehigh Valley hopper. You're going to see some styrofoam on these cars because I just took them out of the box to film this video, and right after I'm done I'm going to put them back in the boxes so I can take them home. But yeah, gorgeous. And again, it's not meant to look realistic. It's this beautiful shiny caricature of a train. Then there's this sort of pastel green boxcar, New York Central. It's got an opening door. Again, there's some styrofoam on it. These have automatic couplers, so you can actually throw the couplers if you have an uncoupling track. These are the box couplers that Lionel used on pre-war trains. These were what they were using before they invented the knuckle couplers that are used now. Then there's a sort of Easter yellow boxcar, the Katy. Then we've got a pink New York Central gondola. And these have a good weight to them. I mean, they're all metal. There's no plastic. No plastic. Very little. I mean, there's a little plastic on the shoe here for firing the coupler, but pretty much all sheet metal. And then we've got a caboose, Pennsylvania caboose. And this is lighted. It's got some pickup rollers. Absolutely gorgeous. And back here, I wanted to show you this. This is one of the boxes that these things come in. And so MTH, not only did they make these things look like they came straight out of the pre-war period, but the boxes do too. This is what a pre-war box would look like. And they've reproduced that so you get the full experience. When you open that box, you're right back in the pre-war period. It's absolutely amazing. Now, I bought the girl set because I thought it was beautiful, but another reason I bought it was because I thought my wife would like the colors. And I was right, because I FaceTimed with her just a little while ago and showed it to her, and she loved it, and now she wants to run it around the Christmas tree. So mission accomplished on that front. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful set. Here's another O-gauge tinplate train set that I picked up today at York. Now, unlike the previous set, this is based on something that was made by Lionel in the pre-war period. This is the distant control train set, and the original was made by Lionel around 1935. This would have been a low-end set from Lionel in 1935, but the reproduction is absolutely beautiful. So you've got a 261E steam engine. And again, this has Protosound 3 on the inside, has a smoke unit, has lights. And what I love about these reproductions from MTH is that you can't tell it's got Protosound 3 on the inside, other than maybe the wireless drawbar back here. You've got that pre-war looking engine, and unless you look really hard, you couldn't tell that it's all modern on the inside. You know, you're totally sold that this is a pre-war engine. Absolutely beautiful. And then here's the tender. Oops, got it coupled up. There it goes. There's that tender. There's the speaker for the sound system. There's a hopper. It's got a little screw thing here that lowers down the hopper door so that you can dump your pebbles or whatever you're putting in there. Not that I'm going to put anything in here, because I'm not going to damage it by putting pebbles in it. And then you've got this beautiful shell tank car. This is my favorite car of this set. It's gorgeous. It's got that brass trim, yellow paint. It's awesome. And then we've got a little caboose. It's not lighted. Again, this would have been a low-end starter set back then, and so it's a very basic caboose. But yeah, it looks awesome. And again, it's O-gauge, so that means I can run it on my layout. Here's an O-scale engine that I picked up today. This is the Lionel Seaboard non-Vision Line single centipede. I already have the Vision Line UP centipede set, and I like that a lot, and I've thought about getting one of the single centipedes for a while, and I saw this one at York and it was a really good price, so I went ahead and picked it up. I also picked up a second auxiliary water tender for the Lionel Vision Line Big Boy. I already have the one that has the red UP lettering on the side, but I also like the American flag one, and I found one for a good price, and so I went ahead and bought it. Over at the MTH booth, they were selling the 2015 York boxcars. Every year at York, MTH puts out a special boxcar to commemorate the show, and so this is the 2015 version. You can see there it says York, PA 2015, and then over here they've got a picture of the new MTH 2016 Volume 1 catalog. I also picked up lots of small items. I got some DVDs. I got the Berkshire Doubleheader on Blu-ray. I got Great Layout Adventures number 11 from OGR Magazine. I got The Steam Locomotive, Technology and Practice, The Underground Railroad Shop, and then I got Tinplate Legends in Action, Tinplate Legends in Action 2, and Tinplate Legends in Action 3. I got all three because there was a deal. It was 3 for $25, so I went ahead and got that. I got 3 new smoke flavors from the JT's Mega Steam booth. So I got root beer, that smells pretty cool, maple sugar, and gingerbread. I got some scenery supplies from the Scenic Express booth. because I'm fixing to add some more scenery to the layout. And then I got some LED light strips for passenger cars from Jack Pierce. I got 6 of the white and 6 of the yellow colored LED strips. So those will be fun to put in. I'm going to do a video the next time I install one of these LED strips. I'm going to do a video and show how it's done. I'm preparing to add a new siding on one section of the layout, and I'll talk about that in a future video. But with that in mind, I bought a new switch from the Ross Custom Switches booth, and I also got a few pieces of Ross track to make that siding happen. Now, I normally use Atlas track, but I figured, what the heck, I'll try the Ross track and see how it does. And I've already got one Ross switch on my layout and I liked it, and so I figured I'd try a second one. Lastly, I picked up some catalogs and books. I got the book that Lou Palumbo just put out last year. I got the Layouts and Store Displays issue from CTT. Also got their Golden Years issue. Got the new MTH catalog, there it is. Got the Vision Line preview sheet for the new Vision Line GG1 that's coming out next year. I got 2 of those. And then I got the new Atlas catalog. Okay, it is now 2 days later. It's Sunday and York is officially over, and I am on my way home back to Georgia. Now, after York was over, I drove up to State College, Pennsylvania to visit my brother and his family. And then I left there this morning to come back home. I drove 8 hours and I've stopped for the night in Morristown, Tennessee. So I'm in another hotel room, and then I'll get up tomorrow morning and drive another 4 hours to get home. But what I want to do real quick is show you the stuff that I picked up on day 3 of York. So on day 3, I stopped by York only for a couple hours, sort of on my way out of town. I went back to the Orange Hall and hung out there for a bit. I talked to Alan Zamorsky from Millhouse River Studios again, and he actually gave me a beta test unit for a new lighting system that he's developing. It's really cool. It's going to be a lot of fun to beta test, and I'll show it to you in a later video. It's really, really neat. And then I did something that I had not done so much on the previous 2 days. I went in search of some vintage trains, and the inspiration came from the brand new distant control train set that I had bought the day before, the one I just showed you, the one with the black engine and the yellow shell tank car. Because I started thinking in the hotel room right after I did the video, I started thinking, you know, it'd be really cool to find the original versions of some of those things so that I could show them in the video and have them in my collection just to compare to the new ones. And so that's exactly what I did. So let me show you what I picked up. So I picked up 4 vintage items. They are all pre-war O-gauge Lionel because, like I said, it was all inspired by that distant control set that I bought the day before. So the first 2 items I picked up in the Orange Hall. Here's the first car, and this is the caboose, and this is the original version of that reproduction caboose that you just saw a few minutes ago. And it looks great considering that it was made in the late 30s most likely. Looks fantastic. And it is in good working order. The coupler works, the wheels work. I don't know if any of the parts have been replaced over the years. I really don't care as long as it looks decent and it runs well. That's all I care about. I'm not buying this for an investment. I think it looks great, and it's got some scratches and so forth, but that gives it character. It means it's got a story. So there it is. And then the second car I got in the Orange Hall in a package deal with the caboose was this yellow gondola. Now this was not in the distant control set, but I thought it was pretty cool, so I picked it up. This is a 2652 gondola. And again, it's in perfect working order. Now, aside from the fact that I just like this gondola, the other reason why I bought it with the caboose was to get a better price. Because the private sellers who are selling these old trains, they are very happy to negotiate on the price. But I always feel funny asking for a lesser price on one item. But if I package them together and get 2 or more items, I feel better asking for a set price for the package, and they'll usually give you that price as long as it's reasonable, as long as you're not insulting them. So he wanted $29 for the gondola, which is a fair price, and he wanted $39 for the caboose, which again is a very fair price. I offered him $60 for the 2, and he took it, so I got them both for $30 a piece, which I thought was a very good deal. I bought the other two items in the red haul, and I'm a little more excited about these two items. Here's the first one. This is the original Shell tank car, and it's beautiful. It's got some scratches and so forth, but no major damage. It's got a lot of character, and it is in perfect working order. I could run this with the reproduction set right now, and there'd be no problem. And that's saying a lot when you consider how old this thing is. It looks fantastic. Now, they made a couple different versions of this tank car. This one has the decals on it, as you can see. The other one they made has brass plates instead of decals. I think the one with the brass plates looks nicer, but because the reproduction set that I bought has the decals on it, I wanted the original one that I bought to also have the decals so that I could sort of compare them and see them side by side. So yeah, this is the original and it looks fantastic. I saved the best for last. The other thing I bought with the Shell car was this. Now this was not in the distant control set, but it's beautiful nonetheless. This is a Lionel number 248 box cab electric. These were made between 1927 and 1932, I believe. So give or take, this is around 85 years old and it's in pretty good shape. It's got some nicks and scratches. It's got a little dent right here, but it's beautiful and it's got a lot of character, and most importantly, it is in perfect operating order. Now, this only goes in one direction, forward. This was a very low-end item at the time, and so it didn't have an E-unit or anything like that, but it's still beautiful, and I like it a lot. I really fell in love with this when I saw it. Now, it's got new wheels on it. You can't see it on the video very well, but they say Bowser on them, which is who made the replacement wheels. But that's actually a good thing, you know. Oftentimes, replacement parts can devalue something. Not that I'm buying this for its value in the first place, but new wheels are actually a good thing because more times than not, when you see these old pre-war engines with these big wheels, the wheels have decomposed a little bit and cracked and they're no longer good. And so unless you're just planning on putting it on a shelf and staring at it, you want to have new wheels on it. So the fact that this has new wheels on it is a good thing. The guy I bought it from told me it had new wheels, and that's what I wanted to hear because I want to run this thing. I don't want to let it sit on a shelf all the time. I do want to run it from time to time. Now, it's not command control, so I can't run it on my layout on a regular basis or anything, but I do want to run it once or twice a year, and it's just gorgeous. I love this little thing. And this has inspired me to buy more vintage pre-war stuff because this is just awesome. It's got so much character to it and so much history. That's the cool thing about it. I mean, this probably belonged to some kid when he was little in the late 1920s or early 1930s, and then it went down from there and got passed on and on and on, and now I've got it, and I'll pass it on one day too because I'm not going to live forever. So the story will continue and it'll move on and get more history and more character. But yeah, I mean, look at that thing. There's no way you can't like that. And so really what this has done is made it so the next time I go to York, I'm going to spend a little more time in those other halls that are not the dealer halls and see if I can find little gems like this. This is great. It's not valuable, it's not super rare or anything like that. It's just cool. I like it a lot. Most of the parts should be original. There may be some replacements on there. Who knows? It may have been rewired at some point, I don't know. And I can see where they used like a Dremel tool or something to polish these couplers. But that's okay, as long as it runs. It's awesome. He let me put it on the test track before I bought it so I could make sure it ran. And I was really pleased with it. Now, he wanted $165 for this and $35 for the Shell car. So that's $200. I offered him $180 and he took it. And I thought that was a pretty good deal. And I'm really glad I got it. And quite honestly, this may be the favorite thing I got from the whole York experience. This little thing. Strange as it may sound, I just love it. And I can't wait to add more things like this to my collection. I'd like to get some more O-gauge stuff to go with it, and also get some vintage standard gauge as well. But yeah, it's awesome. All right, that's about all I've got for you. I had so much fun at York. It was way more fun than I ever could have imagined. And, you know, with all the stuff that I bought, that was not the best part. The best part was the people. Meeting all of the fans of my videos. You guys were great. That was so much fun. And meeting all of the great people that make so many of the products that make this hobby so fun. So the guys from Atlas, Lionel, MTH, Ross, Millhouse River Studios, Stu Gralnick from Model Building Services, and everybody else. It was so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again. I'm going to try to go back next year, and in fact, I wouldn't mind making it an annual event because I can't see it ever getting boring. But anyway, that's about it for now. Stay tuned for episode 55, which will be a layout update video where I'll show you the progress on the layout leading up to the open house that's coming up this November. But for now, that's it. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so I am in my hotel room in York, Pennsylvania, and so I don't know what I was going to say.